let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited. Thank you everybody for joining. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day. This is our first Think Outside the Box webinar. So we're really excited to launch it with David as our first host. Our topic today is going to be trends, tips, and tricks to maximize direct mail. For those of you that missed it, I'm Sarah McKeon. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications for the John Roberts Company. And I will be your host today, so I'll kind of come in and out, but David will definitely be leading the show. On behalf of our teams at John Roberts and HM Graphics, we thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know we're all busy and we're all trying to maximize the day as much as we can, especially in these times. So if you're not familiar with who John Roberts or HM Graphics is, I'll give a quick summary towards the end of the call. But first, I'm going to go through some housekeeping items. I'm assuming if you're logged in, you can both hear and see David and I. We will be recording today's session, as David alluded to. And of course, we want participation and engagement in today's call. There's a chat function on the bottom of your screen. Drop questions, and at the end, we'll do Q&A. So for today's agenda, again, we're fortunate to have David Rosendahl lead today's conversation on why direct mail plays such a crucial role in today's market, the top trends, tricks, and tips for you to think about and leverage in 2020 and beyond. We're definitely seeing that direct mail is coming back. So David will give you all the secrets to be the most effective with it. We'll share the USPS, which is a relatively new program, Informed Delivery, which can help you think of ways to maximize your awareness and your different calls to action, which will be really insightful. David will also share pro tips and creative uses when planning, implementing, and analyzing your direct mail efforts. And then when we wrap it up, I'll give a quick overview of who the John Roberts Company is, and of course, give some insight to the giveaway that will be at the end of the session. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to David Rosendahl. He is the president and co-founder of MindFire, a two-time Inc. 500 award-winning software company. Commercial printers, agencies, and brands like BMW, Microsoft, Harvard, Facebook, and over 15,000 other companies grow leads and sales with MindFire's unique OptiChannel marketing platform that finds and engages clients using direct mail, email, and social.
Awesome, Sarah. Thank you for that wonderful welcome. And hello to everybody. You should be able to see me now and hear me as well. If you just came in the room, I see a bunch of people just jumped in. Go over there and drop a hello in the chat. I want to make sure we keep this interactive, as Sarah said. And Sarah, again, thank you for this opportunity to be here with you and your tribe. We really appreciate that opportunity. And I'm excited to be here with everyone today. In case we haven't met, because there's a lot of new names here that I'm seeing for the first time, and I'm seeing all the hellos come in. That's awesome. As Sarah said, we are primarily a software company, but we get the opportunity to work with thousands of companies around the world, brands like the ones you see here on the screen, helping them solve some of the toughest marketing and sales challenges that we face. And a lot of that, at least today, is because communication has changed so dramatically. Reaching the modern buyer, whether it be B2B or B2C, is increasingly difficult. I'm sure you're probably seeing that as well. And so you need to use new technologies, and you need to refresh your knowledge of existing channels to be able to communicate with folks in the way you need to. And that's why you're here today. We're going to be talking about direct mail. Now, you're probably thinking, look, Dave, Sarah, the world is increasingly digital, right? So why the heck are we still talking about direct mail? That's a good question. And I think what you're going to learn today is there's some really innovative uses for print, direct mail specifically, that you're probably not aware of, that are going to open your eyes to the opportunities that direct mail provides. So what I want to do now to get a sense for where everybody stands, I'm going to launch a poll here. And what I want to know is whether or not you're using direct mail at your company. Okay, so you should be able to see the poll now on your screen. I'm going to give you all a few seconds to get those little fingers warmed up and go over there and give us your vote. It's really cool. I can see it as it's coming in real time. Sarah, can you see that too?
I see the poll. I don't see the live results, unfortunately.
Okay. It's really cool. It's changing in real time. Maybe somehow I could share that in the next one. But right now we've got 62% of you have voted. Come on, get the rest of you out here. Sometimes we can hit 100%.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to leave it up a few more seconds. the results are pretty interesting, actually. So get out of your chairs there, folks. Get those fingers on the keyboard. Hit the option there. Are you using direct mail at your company right now? So the options are yes, we are at the moment. We have, but not right now. And then be brave. If you've never used direct mail, we want to know that as well. I'm going to leave it up 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I still see people voting. I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results here so you all can see it. So, Sarah, pretty interesting here. 72% are using it right now. Fantastic. 24% said we have, but not right now. And then there's a very small minority, 4%, that have never used it. So thank you for sharing that with us, folks. That's very helpful to know. Kind of what we assumed, but we always want to check to make sure that we actually know where folks are at with the material that we're sharing. So thank you. I've got another poll coming up here in a little bit, so keep those fingers ready. The reason I ask you about direct mail and where you stand with it is that it's easy often for folks to discount the power of direct mail. And you could say, look, you know, we're in 2020. How on earth are we still talking about paper that's sent from one location to another manually, right? By people moving it from one place to another. And when you think about it, and as you look at what we're sharing today, it's really, really impressive to see what direct mail can do and how it can still be very relevant in today's increasingly digital world and how it's driving ROI. Not only is it effective in many areas, but there's also a lot of innovation. And a lot of that innovation is actually coming from the integration of print with digital, okay? And that's what we're gonna be talking about today, how you can marry print with a lot of new emerging technologies that are gonna help you drive engagement, get more response to your direct mail, create more leads, and ultimately create revenue, drive sales. That's what we're all about. So when we think about direct mail and what it can do for us, there's some very unique advantages that it has. Many of you are probably aware of this, but in case you need a refresher here, one of the things that's really impressive about mail, and I see this at my house, I'm sure many of you see it as well, is that it's tangible and portable. So it's got staying power that ephemeral digital communication just really does not. The Canada Post did a study and found that 21% of the folks that they surveyed said that information that's coming through print, through direct mail, is easier to process, is easier for them to understand. That's important when we're trying to communicate with our customers and with our prospects. And 70% of those folks said that the mail gives them a better brand recall. So the impression that you're making on people as you use print is stronger than digital. Now, folks also consider it to be more personal than digital. I know for my household, for my kids as an example, when they get something in the mail, it's a big deal. They're overrun with digital right now. And so actually getting something in the mail stands out. And that's true for an increasingly large, growing part of the population. 77% of people sort their mail immediately. Now, at my house, that's not the case. We have a mail chute that comes in the door. The mail lands on the floor and it stays there for quite some time. We're walking over it, stepping over it. So for us, I think we're in the minority, but still, I have to walk over that mail and I'm seeing the BMW, I'm seeing the mortgage companies, I'm seeing all of the brands that I'm walking across. So I'm definitely still getting brand impressions. So you probably know these things, right? But what's happening is that as we are inundated with digital communication, like email as an example, it's increasingly difficult to cut through that clutter digitally, only using the digital channel. And so that's why what we're talking about today is so important. Email, if you think about email as a channel, it's still very, very useful, still very, very powerful. But a lot of people are starting to say that they're suffering from email fatigue. And in fact, there's studies that show that it's driving anxiety in people. How many of you have anxiety about your email? Go over there and drop a yes in the chat. Sunday night, Monday morning, I see Sarah raising her hand. You think, oh crap, what's in my email? Oh my gosh, I've got 700 unread messages, right? Yeah, I'm seeing the yeses come in. Julie says no. Julie, you're atypical. Many people do get anxiety. Now, half of us rarely or never open marketing emails. Okay. So how do you cut through if people aren't opening your emails? It's interesting that the average household gets about 157 emails, according to the research. We certainly get a lot more. I get probably thousands. I'm sure many of you do as well. But only direct mail, it clocks in about 2 per day. And now, especially, it might even be less than that on average, given where things are at with, with the pandemic and such. So there's a big opportunity to be able to stand out there in the inbox, in the direct mail mailbox, not the inbox. Now, this other point here, I think is funny, and I'm going to ask how many of you are guilty of this. 5% of Americans respond to important emails while intoxicated. So if that's you, go over there and give me a yes if that's you. A little bit of a joke, but it's serious. Now, you might think that direct mail is only applicable to a certain demographic of people, but increasingly millennials, like the ones you see here, these are folks, as you know, in the 20 to 39 range. Increasingly, millennials who, you think are digital natives are using direct mail and are responding to it in unique ways. In fact, USPS, our friends, did a study there, and 77% of millennials pay attention to direct mail. 90% view it as reliable, meaning that it's something that they take stock in, that they believe. 57% have made purchase decisions because of direct mail. And 7 out of 8 people like getting it. They want to get your messages through direct mail. Okay, so don't think that just because maybe you haven't used it recently with this audience, with this particular part of the market, that it's not effective. It is very effective, and millennials are certainly engaging with it in ways that might surprise you. Now, I'm a numbers guy. I love data, especially when it pertains to sales and marketing. And so we pulled these stats. They refresh about every 2 years. This is about maybe 18 months old or so. And this is looking at kind of what's happened with direct mail over the past couple of years. And what's really interesting is that response rates for direct mail have almost doubled, about 9% versus 5% when you compare it to digital channels. That 9% response rate happens to be with a house list, but still, that's an impressive response rate. And what marketers are finding is that there's better ROI, higher ROI with direct mail. And, there's better response rates. Folks are engaging with that direct mail. And I know from speaking to our clients, and I'm sure the same is true for your company, Sarah, clients are finding mail to be effective and are using it to drive all sorts of business outcomes. In fact, one of our clients likes to tell me that whenever they need to write themselves a check, they send direct mail as a nonprofit. So whenever they need to raise money, they know that they can rely on mail. They can send it out and in come the checks, right? So it's a very powerful tool for driving a lot of business results. So when we got together and thought about how are we going to share with you some of the exciting innovations that are around the corner here, the team asked me to talk a little bit about what 2020 is looking like and what 2021 might look like with respect to direct mail and digital. And so that's what I want to share with you now. It's both a view from kind of looking through the crystal ball, but also from the thousands of organizations that we get to work with here at MindFire. And so it's a little bit of prognostication, but I'm going to give you a lot of examples. I'm going to show you a lot of examples of what folks are doing with direct mail and how they're marrying it with digital, how they're tying it together to kind of spark new ideas for you. All right. Now, let's start with talking about how direct mail and digital are working together. I want to give you some data around that in case you've never tied the two together or you're wondering what kinds of results can I get. So the world is increasingly digital. There's no getting around that, right? But what happens when you tie that to your direct mail? So 40% of the folks that were surveyed here, and this is coming from another USPS study, 40% of folks that were interviewed here say that they are improving their conversion rates when digital and direct mail are combined. 68% of these respondents said that when they combine direct mail and digital, it's driving more web traffic. Now, 60% of marketing respondents said combining digital and direct mail increases their ROI. What I want to know is look at that first stat, a 40% conversion rate when direct mail and digital are combined. How does that compare to your conversion rate? Is that higher or lower? Go over to the chat. I want to know. Be honest, be transparent. What does a 40% conversion rate mean to you? Would that be amazing if you got that, or is that something that you're already experiencing? Go over there to the chat. I want to see those responses coming in. Now, how is this happening? What's going on here? Obviously, the USPS has an advantage, an incentive, I should say, in making this a reality for us, keeping mail relevant, right? So they're doing a lot. They're investing a tremendous amount in making direct mail work with the digital realm. And one of those things, Sarah, you mentioned this at the beginning, is informed delivery. Okay, so I want to spend a few minutes talking about one of the investments that they've made and how you can take advantage of it as marketing and sales-minded organizations. I'm seeing people say a 40% conversion would be amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Very, very powerful. Okay, let's talk about informed delivery. If you look at the screen, you should be able to see my screen right now. Informed delivery is a consumer-facing product that USPS offers that gives you, bring up my cell phone here so you can see it, on your device or in your email, a digital preview of the mail that you're about to receive, mail that's about to come to your home in the next day or two. And so what it allows us to do as brands, as organizations that want to reach consumers or businesses, is that we can integrate digital touches to extend the power of that direct mail piece. So what happens is, as you see here, you're able to, as a consumer, know what's coming to your mailbox soon. And the brand who's sending you that direct mail piece is able to create these digital ride-along partners, if you will, to the direct mail to give you other options to follow up on that mail piece, to give you more information. They can, direct somebody to a target URL somewhere on the web. It creates a more interactive experience for that direct mail piece. So at a high level, this is what the process looks like. If you look at the screen, your direct mail piece gets sent. The digital preview, that ride along that I mentioned, is sent along with the direct mail as it goes out. As the direct mail gets close to the consumer, gets close to home, they're going to get this notification. And what that notification can do in this example, and it may be relevant in some parts of the country and maybe not in others, I understand, is then help drive traffic to a location, to a physical store, maybe to an online store if physical visits aren't, something that location can do. And so what this is doing is giving you an impressive amount of digital power to be able to drive folks to take that next step, that call to action. Now, what I did is, this was 2 days ago, I reached out to our contacts at USPS and I said, hey, give me some insight into what kinds of results people are seeing right now. So this is from a top secret internal USPS report. I got permission to share it with you all. This is something that they presented just the other day internally. And a couple of numbers that I want you to be aware of. So right now, close to 28 million people in the United States are using informed delivery, okay? And it's growing very rapidly. This is something that's really interesting. So as I mentioned to you, as that direct mail piece is about to hit home, you get the email, right? 67% open rate on those emails. That's impressive. I can tell you from having been in the business for many years, you don't often get a 67, 68% open rate. So what folks are enjoying here is not only are the mail pieces touching those individuals, but also they're getting a very good open rate on the emails that are associated with that direct mail piece. They're also seeing very strong levels of interest in the pieces that are coming through. 32% of the surveyed users have clicked on one of the interactive promotions that comes in that email. And so there's quite a bit of interest on the part of the consumer to actually get the messages that you're sending. Here's another piece of that presentation. I want to draw your eyes to this right here, 2,954. The reason why that's important, men and women, is that that's the number of active campaigns that are running for the brands that the USPS is providing this to right now through folks like Sarah and her company. And that's a small number. That means there's very little competition for you right now. Now would be a good time to work with Sarah and her team over at John Roberts to get this dialed in for your next campaign, because there's very little competition, meaning there's a lot of opportunity for you to engage in a channel using these mechanisms while it's still nascent and young. And even better, through the USPS, this is free, right? Sarah's amazed.
No brainer.
No brainer, right. We do know from inside information that it's likely to be monetized at some point, but not yet. So if you haven't done this yet, talk to Sarah, talk to her team about what this might look like and what kinds of results it might bring to you, all right? Let me know if you have any questions about informed delivery. Go over to the chat, drop those in. We're going to try to leave plenty of time for Q&A. Go over there. If you have a question about informed delivery, please let us know. So you might be thinking right now as we go through this, okay, Dave, Sarah, I get it, but can direct mail really drive digital actions? Can it really drive people to do stuff online? And so what I thought might be useful to you is understanding, again, this is from USPS, folks that were surveyed here not too long ago, around what are other brands seeing? What are other companies like yours seeing when they combine digital and direct mail? 68% of them are seeing more web traffic. That's to a personalized URL or to a campaign-specific microsite. 63% are seeing an increased response rate, meaning the response rates for their mail go up. 60% enjoy a better ROI. 53% see more leads. 39% see more traffic coming to a physical store or a business location. And 11% where downloads are important are seeing more downloads. I see the questions coming in, Kathy and others. That's fantastic. We'll get those in a moment. Please keep those coming in if you have questions about informed delivery. We love seeing the questions come in. Now, that same group of people, when you ask, what is that direct mail and digital marriage doing from a marketing perspective, it's driving a lot of very important things for you as a sales and marketing-minded organization. 51% say it's driving awareness. 68% say it's driving consideration of their services and products. 52% say it's driving transactions. So you can see this data here supports the fact that by doing these two together, digital and direct mail, you're driving real business outcomes. Now, I thought it might be interesting for you to see how companies are actually driving these kinds of results. And I'm going to show you an example of two of these here on the screen in just a moment. But when these brands coordinate direct mail and digital, 80% drive traffic from the direct mail to a digital channel. So they're using the direct mail to get people to one of their digital channels. It's pretty interesting. Almost the same numbers, 76% are integrating a personalized URL or a unique URL to drive folks to a very trackable web experience for that particular individual. If you're not familiar with Pearls, let us know in the chat. We'll tell you more about that. 61% say the timing of digital media once direct mail is delivered to customers is how they tie the two together. So I'm going to show you an example of that, but you can actually get your direct mail out into the mail stream and at the same time touch those same people on a social channel. Warm them up on Facebook, for example, so that as the mail gets close to home, they're starting to get those impressions in more than one place. I'll show you more about that in a moment. 51% say they're sending personalized direct mail based on the online behavior. So based on what somebody does online, they're changing that direct mail piece. 49% say creating a digital version of the direct mail, similar to what I described to you in informed delivery. And this is really interesting. This has increased since this study was done. 15% are using QR codes in direct mail, and 7% are embedding AR or VR in direct mail. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about these two. These two are really important, QR and AR. These are some of the leading edge things. What a lot of people don't know about QR codes is that in most of the modern phones, the ones that you have in your hand right now, if you have an iPhone, I know for certain, I'm going to ask you to test your phone here in just a second. You now have a QR code reader that's built into your phone. If you remember back in the day when QR codes were the thing, you had to go tell the person to go to the App Store, find one of those crappy, buggy QR code readers. Sarah's nodding her head, right? Try to install it. It wouldn't work. You go find another one. It wasn't a very frictionless experience. Now it's very easy to do. So what I want you to do is go grab your phone. I give you permission to multitask. Go grab your phone like I am now. Open up your camera and point it at this QR code here on the screen and tell me if your camera does something. What you should see when you point it at the screen, if your camera is QR code enabled, is when you point it at the screen, it's going to prompt you to open up a browser And you're going to, yep, I see Jan says yes. You're going to be able to connect with me on LinkedIn. So what I'm doing is I'm driving you from, imagine, a direct mail piece to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's what I want all of you to do right now. Go over there. It'll take you to a web page. It'll ask you, do you want to open LinkedIn? You click open, and it'll actually take you to LinkedIn. Please connect with me. I'd love to see how many of you come through here. Connect with me so that I know this connection has been made. All right. Arika says, I'm adding you on LinkedIn. Perfect. So what I want to know from all of you, give me an X in the chat if this is something that's new to you. If it's new to you that QR code readers are built into your camera, most cameras, was this a surprise to you? Okay, give me an X. Give me an X if this is something new to you. Rich says yes. Wow, a bunch of X's coming in. Mark says yes. Ashley, okay, a lot of X's. There's one no. Julie was in the no. So folks, think about this. What this means is you're sending direct mail, you're working with John Roberts, and you're hitting consumers, you're hitting business people, and you want to take them to an online experience, a Pearl, a microsite, maybe an event, a LinkedIn event, whatever the case may be, a webinar like today. To get them to the web, no longer do they need to go and type anything. Pull out their phone, point their camera at the direct mail piece, and boom, just like I did for you, they're online, right? So very, very powerful channel there for you to be able to use. And I mentioned AR, so QR codes we just talked about. Now AR stands for augmented reality and has also increased in use since this study was done. And if you're not familiar with it, AR, a little bit behind QR in terms of its, in terms of it being natively built into the phone. But here's what it does. A brand like Coca-Cola has an app that you can go download from the App Store. And inside that app, there is a special reader that when you take your phone and you take a picture or hover over something, it'll actually create a dynamic experience that you can see through the phone. Now, the easiest way for me to describe this to you is let me just show you an example here. This was one from over the holidays. I'm going to pull it up here. Watch the screen. Watch how this works. So what you're able to do with AR at Christmas in July, huh? What you're able to do with QR is tag or AR enable physical real world things, whether it be a Coke can. I happen to have LaCroix sitting here on my desk. And then with these apps that are AR enabled, create an interactive experience. So imagine what you could do with direct mail, right? Imagine what you could do as an automotive brand, what you could do for any highly considered purchase where folks need to be able to experience something beyond what they might ordinarily just get from a direct mail piece. They want to see something digital, especially now with social distancing and things like that. This has a lot of potential. So QR codes, I think you should think about. AR, you definitely should think about. And there's some unique opportunities there. So hope that sparks some ideas for some of you. Now, not only is USPS investing in helping us make direct mail more digital, but companies like Facebook are also doing some really interesting things. And so one of the things I want to turn you on to here is that, and I alluded to this a second ago, for anybody who's doing direct mail, and let's say you're sending out 50,000 direct mail pieces to a group of targeted people. Did you know that you can take that list, Sarah and her team can help you with this, take that list, imagine that's this right here, and upload it to Facebook and find those people that you're sending direct mail to on Facebook. Now, the advantage to doing that, as I mentioned a second ago, is as that mail piece goes out, what you're doing now is creating kind of this halo effect around these people, right? They may see that impression on Facebook because you can now you can drive an ad to this group of people here. They may not even click on it, but they may see a testimonial or a case study or some sort of aspirational video or something that's related to that mail piece that you're about to send to them. And even if they don't click on it, that's a brand impression. Now what happens is as they get that mail piece, as it gets delivered in home, it increases the probability that they're going to engage with it. So it's a really powerful way to be able to take the folks that you're direct mailing, and find them in a digital channel in Facebook as an example, and you can do this in other places as well. Facebook is the example I'm using here to be able to engage them. If this is a new thing for you, say new in the chat. I want to know if this is a new concept for you. Go over there and drop new into the chat. Yeah, new for a lot of people. Now what happens, yeah, awesome. Lot of news here. What happens is when you upload this to Facebook, Facebook has something around 51,000 additional columns of data about you, Sarah, specifically, and all of us. What that means is that after you've uploaded that list of 50,000 people, you can use their machine learning, their big data, to find a lookalike audience. So you can extend that list. Let's say these are your best customers. You're sending them a direct mail piece. You've uploaded to Facebook, and you tell Facebook, find people like my best customers, given your infinite wisdom, Facebook, and help me get in front of those people as well. That's what you can do once you've got the list uploaded. It's called a lookalike audience. So it extends your capacity even further by virtue of the fact that Facebook's got all this information on us. When you go into Facebook, and Sarah and her team can help you with this, your marketing folks can help you with this, what you're able to then do is say, okay, I've got my list now inside of Facebook, right? I'm sending them direct mail. Facebook, help me achieve one of these objectives with that list. If you want to drive conversions, if you want to drive brand awareness, if you want to drive traffic, basically what's happening here is Facebook is going to take your list and sort it by the people who are most likely to do the thing that you want them to do first, okay? So let's say you want to drive leads. They're going to sort that list, put the people who are most likely to become a lead for you at the top, and start sending your impressions to that group first, okay? Smart, right? And so what you're basically doing, it's like going to a fast foods place and saying, I want a number 1 and I want a number 3. You're telling Facebook, here's what I want from the data that I've sent you, and here's the outcome that I'm looking for. Really very powerful thing to do. Now, speaking of online knowing a lot about us, intent data is another really interesting use case for direct mail. This is wild. It's probably something that you may have experienced without even knowing you were experiencing it. So intent data, let me just describe it to you this way. It's kind of like being able to look over the shoulder of your target market. The idea is, imagine that you could digest all of the web traffic logs that are out there for hundreds of thousands of websites. If you could do that, and if you could start to connect Sarah on one site with Sarah on another site, and if you had sufficiently sophisticated technology to be able to discern what Sarah is reading, what she's interested in, what she might be thinking about buying, well, then that would be pretty powerful. And that's what intent data is all about. It's a new kind of technology that allows you to pull in all of this information and understand people that are looking at your competitors, maybe partners, maybe looking and reading about certain keywords, maybe interested in certain events, maybe that have certain roles, maybe that are part of a certain type of company. And it's pulling all of this from all of this data that's out there that these intent data organizations are able to query. And what you can do with that is begin to divvy up those different buckets of people based on what they're doing on the web. And now, as a marketer, so if somebody goes, let's say Sarah and her organization is suddenly very interested in a particular piece of equipment, and we're an equipment manufacturer, we can say, all right, there's surging interest in this business. Let's send them some direct mail, and let's also do a little halo around them with some digital touches, right? Sarah all of a sudden sees a direct mail piece, starts to see stuff online that's, it's kind of like this equipment that I was looking for. This is interesting. Let me check into this, right? Gives the person a call, whoever sent the direct mail piece, goes to the website, whatever the case may be, maybe clicks on the Facebook ad. That's how this stuff is happening using intent data. So if you marry intent data with the power of direct mail, being able to cut through the clutter, some very, very powerful things can happen. Go drop an X if the idea of intent data is new to you. I want to know how many of you are seeing something new here with intent data. Yep, I'm seeing the X's come in. Now, when you do these
probably
things,
experience it and they don't even know. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. You may feel it's new to you, but you're probably on the receiving end of it. Yeah. A lot of X's coming in. Good point, Sarah. When you do these things, when you are using many of these emerging technologies, USPS is actually going to incent these behaviors, okay? And so talk to Sarah and her team about this if this is new to you, but you can save money on postage. Postage is like 60% of your investment in direct mail. It's a big portion of it. So when you use any of these emerging and advanced technologies, many of the ones that I just described to you, you can actually qualify for savings in your postage, okay? So there's a lot of incentive around actually using these. Some of our clients, some of our partners, some of our brands make an investment in something like, let's say, adding QR codes or adding AR to their mail piece. And because of their volumes, they're actually getting it for free, given the discount on postage that they're getting. So you kind of want to look at the ROI, see where it makes sense, and you may be able to do some significant investment in new emerging technology without really adding any cost because of the postage savings. Very powerful. So here's what we're seeing in summary as we think about how digital is working with direct mail. Firstly, mail is definitely cool again. If you haven't picked up on that, it's something that a lot of marketers are paying attention to, and there's a lot of new investment going into direct mail, new technology investments. Informed delivery, as I mentioned to you, is growing rapidly. More and more people are combining direct mail with digital. QR codes, as I showed you, are back and very effective. AR, augmented reality, is making mail very interactive. Companies like Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, and others are giving you that capacity to be able to take your mail list and match it up with folks that are on that social channel so that you can warm them up. Intent data is helping you target people at the right time as they're actively surging in their interest for your product or service. And you can save money when you do these things. So I'm going to do another poll. I want to know which of these excites you the most. So I'm going to launch the poll here on the screen. And I want to know which direct mail innovation excites you the most. Informed delivery, QR codes, augmented reality, using Facebook to warm up a list, intent data, or saving money on postage. Sarah, what's your gut telling you here? Let's see what people are most excited about. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good list to pick from, but my gut is telling me that they want to save on postage.
Save on postage? Okay, let's see if Sarah's right, folks.
Taking a conservative approach.
Yeah, save money is always good. Cool. I see a lot of questions in the Q&A as well, Sarah, so hopefully you can see those as well. So Q&A, folks, I see that coming in. I see all the chat coming in. All right, cool. I'm going to give you another, let's say 5 to 6 seconds. Leon is saying, have to tell you all of it. All of it was exciting to you, Leon. Fantastic. All right. I'm going to give you another few seconds, folks, and then I'm going to show you the results here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. So here are the results. Let's see what we got here. 29% informed delivery. Cool. 11% QR codes. 22% said AR. 18% said Facebook. 30% said intent data. 32%. Sarah, were you right? Yeah, you were.
I
by
think
a hair.
so.
Yeah, 32% said postage savings. Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you, folks, for giving us that insight. That's helpful, and hopefully that was also informative to you as well. I'm going to move that off my screen here. Again, if you have questions about these, we're going to try to take as much as we can here in just a minute. What I want to do is move into a new chapter here and just quickly go through some top tips that you can use to kind of take your direct mail to the next level, okay? I'm keeping an eye on the time. I want to make sure I leave plenty of time for questions. As you're doing direct mail, there's a lot of places where you can kind of go off the rails. That's why you need to be working with somebody like Sarah and her team so that you're aware of these things and ensure that you get things done as efficiently as you can. First of all, the planning part of this process usually takes around 6 to 8 weeks, and it's really important that you're clear on what your objectives are. As I mentioned to you, when you're doing your planning, you should consider that the postage can be somewhere around 60% of your investment, 60% of your budget, okay? So as you're setting out your goals, as you're thinking about when you want to be in home, and you're thinking about your investment, 60% of that is going to probably be in postage, which is why we shared the postage savings with all of you a second ago. You want to also make sure you get your measurement tools in place, whether that be QR codes, trackable phone numbers, pearls, coupon codes, which can now be serialized, meaning they're individual to each person. So think about how you're going to track the response that you're getting from that direct mail. Any one of these channels is doable. And this gives you the ability to relatively in real time see how your direct mail is doing. So the planning stage is really important. I see you nodding your head, Sarah. Obviously, this is where a lot of the thought needs to go in, and where you need to rely on somebody like Sarah and her team to get you kind of pointed in the right direction. The second thing you need to think about is your list, your data. It's vital. I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but you know that the folks that you're targeting, who those individuals are, is going to be vital to your success in that campaign. If you're using a house list, meaning your own existing database, or a prospect list, or data that you're acquiring, that's where you're gonna find a lot of opportunity to improve what you're doing. So if you're not getting results from your direct mail right now, it might be the list. You can develop lookalikes to find people that look like your best customers. I showed you an example doing that with Facebook. You can extract this information from your CRM. I'm sure many of you know, but you can append additional columns of data to the list that you already have if there's other attributes that you need to know in order to be able to segment and personalize your direct mail. And so these are things that you need to put time into. The list is a very, very important part of the mix here. And you don't want to overlook putting your thought and working with somebody like Sarah and her team to be able to maximize the opportunity that you have in your data. Now, the call to action in your direct mail piece, if you're not sure what that should be, test it. When I say call to action, I'm sure all of you know it's the Johnson box, or it's the phone number, or the Pearl, or the trackable QR code that's in the direct mail piece that tells the reader what they should do next. We find generally that the more clear and concise it is, the better. We also see folks make a big mistake here sometimes where they have a QR code, let's say call to action in the direct mail piece that says something specific, and then they're trying to warm those folks up on Facebook, and the call to action is completely different. You want to try to synchronize your digital and your offline, your direct mail, and make sure that as much as possible, you're providing a consistent experience to the folks that are engaging with your marketing. The call to action should be as relevant as you can, meaning that it's relevant to the group of people that you're engaging. There's the old 40-40-20 rule, which says that, look, your list and your offer, the list and the call to action, are likely the most important piece of what you're doing here, the most important items that you need to take into consideration. Okay, so don't skip over this stuff. This is really important to be thinking about as you're trying to engage the right audience at the right time with the right message that's going to drive the action that you're looking for. Now, the creative, the way stuff looks, is also important. Be creative there. Don't be afraid to test different things. One of the things that we often see within our client base and with folks that we work with is that somebody will say, okay, look, we tried direct mail and it's just not working anymore. Well, have you tried a different format? If you've been doing 8.5 by 11, or if you're doing self mailers, have you tried postcards? If you've been doing postcards, have you tried self mailers? Have you tried snap packs? Have you tried different methods, different delivery mechanisms to drive engagement? It may just be that people are so accustomed to seeing what you've been sending that they're not seeing it anymore. Try something different. You need to make sure you're following the USPS guidelines for the format. This is something that you need to make sure you get some help on. It can be a costly mistake if you don't follow the guidelines. And ultimately, put time into your creative. But remember, even the best creative, even what you think is the most beautiful or engaging or attractive creative, won't overcome a bad offer, bad call to action, or a bad set of data. Okay, so yes, it's important. Your creative is important, but I want to make sure you understand that even if you've got something that you think is just absolutely beautiful, if you don't have the right offer, if you don't have the right message and list that you're targeting that to, you're gonna have some trouble. Now, as you think about doing this and improving what you're doing over time, this is a big part. I can't tell you how many times we see incredible direct mail campaigns tied to digital. Pearl's going to a microsite with autoresponder sequences, emails, retargeting on Facebook, on social, just a really, really incredible omni-channel campaign workflows. Thousands of leads being generated, pushed to a sales team. And you know what happens? Either nobody follows up with those leads, or they get followed up on in a week. That's absolutely a sin, folks. Don't do that. Don't be that organization. Ensure that your sales team has a plan in place, or that you get help from somebody like John Roberts to put a plan in place to have fast and qualified follow-up on the leads that come in. You're probably thinking, no, nobody ever does that. Nobody ever spends all this money to generate leads and doesn't follow up. Sarah, how often do you see this happening?
Far too often.
It's disgusting. Don't waste your money in that way, folks. Right. When you do this, you can also put in triggered and automated follow-ups to help you. We have some clients that sometimes say, hey, hold up, too many leads. Our call center can't follow up on them. Put these automated touches in place, right? So that if something like that happens, you have the opportunity to still engage folks in their moment of interest. After you run these campaigns, it's really important to do a post-mortem. I don't know how many of you do this. How many of you meet with your internal team, with folks like Sarah and her team, to talk about what do we learn in that campaign? What should we do next? What should we test next? What should we do differently to continue to drive our results? It's a very important part of the process. Then loop back to step one, okay? Hopefully those 5 tips were helpful. I want to give you just a few more thoughts, and then I'm going to bring us home for some questions here in just a few minutes. I want to give you some very tactical ideas around how to drive results for your direct mail. The first one is, if you're not doing this, is to get more personal in your direct mail, okay? And when I say that, I mean something as simple as saying, hello, Sarah. Something as simple as that. You don't have to go too crazy. Something as simple as that can drive response, okay? So if you're in B2B, if you're in B2C, using the personal information that you have about someone, when it's done the right way, when it's responsibly used, can drive more engagement for you. You don't have to go crazy and change all the text, change all the imagery. Certainly that's effective. But if you're not doing any of this yet, just starting with simple personalization can help drive response in a way that you're not taking advantage of right now. People are willing to pay for a personal experience. 59% of people say that website and email personalization influences their shopping decisions, okay? That's powerful. 77% say they've recommended or chosen a brand based on the fact that that brand provides a set of personalized services. And 78% say, well, they'll only engage in an offer if it's been personalized to their previous engagements with that brand. So if the consumer sees that you're actually using their data in a way that's making their experience better, you're more likely to drive the engagement that you're looking for. I use this example often. It came actually from a client. He actually got this around the holidays, affixed to his trash can in the front yard. It came from their garbage collector. Must have been a wonderful part of the country. Our garbage collectors don't leave us Christmas notes here in California. But this was something that obviously Ken had handwritten and left this little personal touch on the trash can to wish our client a happy holiday. And so it's a small personal touch that made our client, in this case, feel valued. And that's the same opportunity that you have when you personalize your communication through print to make the recipient feel valued, okay? This is how we want to make clients feel when they're getting our marketing and our communication. We want to make them feel like Ken, the garbage collector, did here. So here's a couple of other quick ideas, quick creative use cases that maybe you haven't thought about for direct mail. Dimensional mail, if you haven't done that, direct mail that's got something inside of it or something that you can feel or something that stands out can be very engaging. I'm sure Sarah and her team have many examples of that. Retargeting is the ability to go out after folks who have done something online, as an example, and send a direct mail piece to them. One common use case that we see is for e-commerce. So somebody puts something in their shopping cart, a high value item, doesn't end up checking out, send them a postcard, trigger out a follow-up direct mail piece. Loyalty programs are great uses for direct mail. Events is now these days, we're seeing a lot of direct mail being used for events like this, for virtual events. Don't discount direct mail driving, Zoom and other kinds of event traffic. Using direct mail in a nurture sequence. I'm sure many of you have nurture sequences in email. Don't forget that direct mail can be a very powerful touch in that process. I think I've hammered this point home. that you can drive folks from direct mail online. Very powerful way to get more people to your website, to your e-commerce site, to see your products, to see your services, to engage in a personalized location that's specific to them. And if you have any other crazy ideas, that's what the team here can help you through. Come up with, whatever it is that you think you need to do. And there's myriad ways that direct mail can help you get there. And we'd love to be able to talk to you about that. So I'm going to give you a couple closing thoughts, and then Sarah, I'm going to bring you back here in about 2 minutes. And let's try to leave some time for Q&A here. These are just a couple of closing thoughts that I want to leave all of you with from my view. Okay. First of all, as you're thinking about direct mail and you're thinking about how to engage your folks, just know that nobody's got all of this figured out. One of the cool things about marketing, one of the things that makes me excited about this every day, is that it's constantly changing. It's being innovated. Print, direct mail, social, all of it is going through change, okay? And so there's a lot of opportunity because in some ways we get to create the playbook, this new modern 2020 playbook for direct mail and digital. Second, if you're not tapping into the power of your CRM data, if you're not using that intelligently to personalize direct mail, please reach out and talk to us about that. Sarah and her team, you have a gold mine sitting there, and we can unlock that for you in some ways that you're probably not doing right now. Third, think about the experience that you want your customer to have and reverse engineer, work backwards from that to ensure that you're doing it cohesively across all channels. In a lot of organizations that we work with, social is siloed from print, is siloed from email within an organization, and they're all saying something a little bit different to the consumer. Don't do that anymore. There's no reason to do that anymore. And beyond that, it's not effective. You want to be using a consistent message across all those channels. No longer is offline marketing separate from online marketing. It's all marketing, okay? So you want to consider that as one and synchronize, orchestrate your messages across those channels. And then lastly, if there was one mistake that I see pop up over and over again, it's people taking a one and done approach with direct mail, with any marketing for that matter. I'm sure this is none of you, but they try it once. They try direct mail. They say direct mail doesn't work because they do one campaign and nothing happens. Folks, you can't do that. You can't do that. This is an iterative process. You learn after each engagement, each campaign, and you apply that to the one before it. So if you've done direct mail in the past and you say, doesn't work, do it again. Work with an expert, work with John Roberts, work with their team, and keep getting better at it because you will improve as you learn more about your customers and what works for them. All right. So with that, Sarah, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and then let's get into some questions, but I want to make sure you have plenty of time to go through your closing thoughts here as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Dave. This is insightful information. Some of it is brand new, I'm sure, to our audience, and some of it is just some really good reminders for what we should be looking for when we're developing our campaigns and our initiatives and things like that. So really quickly, I'm gonna buzz through who John Roberts is. John Roberts is actually a company that is made up of two different brands, one being John Roberts and the other one being HM Graphics. We are located in Minneapolis and Milwaukee. And at our core, we're printers. That's what we are, but that's not all. We offer a variety of different print and creative solutions. A lot of the things that you went over today, we can help assist with. Get us involved early. That's my number one ask out of this, because we can help direct and drive you in the right direction. The John Roberts Company acquired HM Graphics in March of 2019. And close to 70 years, we shared a commitment to excellence. Every client, every day. We take every client and every job very seriously and treat it like it's our own. Unlike some commercial printers or some buying groups, we are the manufacturer of the product or the service. There's no middleman or middlewoman that's involved that doesn't necessarily have your best interest at heart. We act as an extension of your team. A lot of the things that David shared with us today, we can help with. And we know that your brand's integrity and reputation is what's on the line. So we're here to help. I won't run through all of our capabilities that are listed here. A lot of it we went through already. Again, we're here to help, and we can help you navigate some of these solutions if they're new to you. But we're continually investing in technology to get the job done smarter and faster. Ultimately, our goal is to save you time and money. For our presses, again, at the core of our business, we offer digital, sheet fed, web, and large format printing. But we also know that print is just one part of the equation. You know, a good summary of what we did review today. So when you're ready to kick off your next direct mail campaign and you're weaving in your different call to actions, we know that print is probably at the start, or at least a big portion of what is going to drive some results, but we can help you navigate a little bit further from that. So when we look at our accreditations, you know, it really stands out when we look at our healthcare and our financial clients, but we understand protecting your customers' privacy and maintaining quality is at the core of what we do. You know, whether it be private information, healthcare information, things like that, that's kind of a no-brainer. You should carry those accreditations, or they shouldn't be doing business with any healthcare or financial client, right? But we take it a step further and put it in our daily operation, whether it's photos of new products or any intellectual property that maybe hasn't yet been released. We hold that with the same type of quality control. I won't run through every single accreditation that we have, but ask questions. If something is new to you, something you're questioning what it is and why you should have it, why it's important, please reach out to us. We'd love to share more information. They're all very important, and we invest heavily into those to make sure that we're operating to the best of our ability every day. So mailing, specific to mailing and today's topic, John Roberts and HM Graphics offer secure mailing services with full service USPS resources on site. So you don't have to have it all figured out. We'll help you do that. And we have the resources on site to help navigate that. Informed delivery, things like that. If you want to tap into that and see how that can work for you, we can take care of all of that for you. The service is free for now, and let's take advantage of it. So, not sure where to start. You know, David touched on creativity and inspiration and different things. We've put together this inspiration toolkit that gives you samples of different direct mail pieces that we see drive results. You know, the biggest thing with direct mail is the longer it's in someone's hand and the more they're interacting with it, the more they're going to read it, engage with it, and ultimately do your call to action. So we created a variety of different templates, if you will, that engage different things. We've got the tipper where you are applying, whether it be by glue or whatever, a coupon that they could redeem, or a specialty item. We've got the zipper where they're going to hold it in their hand and they're going to zip it open to see your message, and it's going to touch all of their senses. So all of those things are really exciting, and we're happy to share that with 10 lucky people on today's call. If you're not a winner in the inspiration kit and you're interested in learning more, you know, speak to your account executive. If you don't have an account executive, you're not doing business with John Roberts or HM Graphics right now, shoot us an email. We're happy to share die lines, making design and your next marketing campaign as easy as possible to implement. Before we roll it over to Q&A, I just want to remind everybody that this is our first webinar that we've launched today, focusing on direct mail. There'll be another one coming soon in mid-August, so please look back, and we will be promoting it just as much as we did with this one. So we appreciate everyone's time, and we can roll it over to Q&A if you're ready, David.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a lot here. Sarah, do you want to try to find something that you think is as widely applicable as possible? And I know folks, we're right at the end of the time here, so if you can stick around, please do. We'll hang out for a few minutes. If you have to leave, don't worry, we'll get everyone the recording. I would love to continue the conversation and connect with you via LinkedIn. I put my handle there in the chat, so make sure to go over there and connect with me. And Sarah, what do you see?
A lot of questions about the Facebook information. You know, we took a deep dive into sort of the AI that comes out of Facebook. Is that service free?
So the service is free with respect to being able to take your list, upload it, and find how many matches you have on Facebook, as well as creating then the lookalike audience that's based on that list. Where you pay is to display posts or ads or images to that list. Okay, so it's a standard set of fees that you would pay Facebook for any kind of advertising campaign.
That's great. Do you think COVID-19 has helped or hurt direct mail?
Ooh, you know, I would say in the early days, even though it's only been a few months. There was some trepidation around direct mail with respect to maybe how COVID was transmitted. We've seen that go down. The first 30 days or so of the pandemic, mail volumes for many of our clients dropped 20, 25, 30%, some even more. Now we're starting to see some verticals that are really, really busy and that have kicked back up. Financial services, as an example, mortgage, refinance, things like that. So there's some that are going up. There's some that are going down. And I would say that generally speaking, mail volumes on the whole are down, which is a big opportunity for you. The same is true in Facebook, by the way. There's less people advertising. And so when there's less distraction for your consumer, whether it be in the inbox, the mailbox, on the phone, and social, now is the time to strike, folks.
Yep, I totally agree. Another question from Joan. She wasn't familiar with what pearls were. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Sure. So pearls are, it stands for personalized URL. So let's say that, who'd you say asked the question? Joan?
Joan. Yep.
Joan. So Joan, let's say you work for Nike, and I'm making this up, but let's say you work for Nike and you're sending me a direct mail piece. The call to action, the thing that says, Dave, if you want to find out more, would be the pearl. And a pearl is davidrosendahl.nike.com. So it's my name at the domain. And what I can do then is I type that pearl into the web browser, or I pick up my phone and I scan the QR code next to it. And it takes me to a personalized landing page or microsite that's set up specifically for me. Now, what's happening behind the scenes, of course, is it's using the data that you have about me, the stuff that you've uploaded about me, to personalize the headline, the imagery, the offer, everything that I'm seeing there. And the pearl leading to the landing page is what can drive 20 to 30% more lift in response, more qualified leads, and open up a whole opportunity on the digital side for the direct mail folks that go to the web. So that's what a pearl is. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's great. You know, the more personalization you can do, the better. Another question is, how do we get people to actually read and open the piece? I have an opinion on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to share. I think design is definitely what catches people's eye, and having a strong call to action or offer. I think that those are the two things that are going to definitely get people to read and engage with your piece. Any other thoughts on that, David?
Yeah, we see that. We see curiosity. If you can amp up the curiosity by virtue of what you have on the outside, the envelope, the format, and do that in a way that causes people to take the next step, which is to open up the piece, you can have results. We also see a lot of creative, I don't know, Sarah, if you and your team, do you use snap packs as an example? Is that something that?
Not familiar with that one.
Yeah, so snap packs are, for those of you who get a paycheck, a physical paycheck, if you know how your paycheck kind of has the perforated,
oh, sure, with the window, yep.
Yeah, you can tear off one side, tear off the other side, open it up. We see a lot of engagement from an open, the mail perspective with snap packs. So if you're creative and you're willing to be creative, there's a lot of ways that you can drive that engagement. All right, so Sarah, I know we're right. Actually, we're 4 minutes over. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. I believe that you and your team are going to make sure that every question gets answered. We'll circle around with everybody. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so folks, one last question for all of you. Has this been helpful to you? Please go drop the answer to that question over there in the chat. We still see a lot of you. Would love to know, has it been useful? And what was like one major aha that you took away out of this session? Would love to hear that from all of you. So Mark is saying yes. And what's a big aha for you, Mark? Steve is saying useful. Anne Marie is saying yes, extremely useful. Good. Thank you for that great info. The Facebook stuff was helpful to Greg. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to the team here. Carol saying great presentation. Yeah, a lot of thank yous. Tom. Oh, hey, Tom, it's good to see you. Awesome. They're all coming in too quickly now. I'm glad it was useful to you all. Sarah, again, to you and your team, thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning. To all of you, we appreciate you being here, spending an hour and 5 minutes with us. We know that that's a significant investment of your time, and we appreciate all of you. Sarah, any closing words for us?
No, just again, thank you. On behalf of the team at John Roberts and HM Graphics, we really appreciate you taking an hour plus out of your day, especially on a Friday. So everybody have a great weekend. And